45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the place yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor, 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. 855-212-4227. And you could also get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. For a second, I thought I forgot the phone number. But Carlos with the K is here with us, CK. Also, we got Moist Mike. We are rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Just you and me today. I could start the show off today crushing Luka Doncic. I could start the show off today when the Dallas Mavericks were on a 20-2 run, crushing Jason Kidd for taking a timeout when his team was on the prowl. I could start today with the Dallas Mavericks being down 0-3 in the NBA Finals and not even giving us an NBA Finals. But I'm going to start the show today praising Brad Stevens, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. It is very tough in the sports world for organizations to have patience. It's very tough. It's also extremely tough for organizations to have patience when you are in a big city like Boston and you are running a team or playing for a team that's as prestigious as the Boston Celtics are, who have won 17 NBA championships. And if you look at the road of the Boston Celtics, early on, this dynamic duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they overachieved. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals a few times before any of us actually expected them to. But when you get somewhere earlier than expected, that increases expectations. And the expectations become, can you get to an NBA Finals and can you take home the Larry O'Brien Trophy, and can you raise banner number 18? And up until this point, entering this season, the Boston Celtics have come up short. Now, in most of those years, when people said they got to break up either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, usually the person that would be getting traded in that scenario always was Jaylen Brown. And I never thought there was a possibility of Jaylen Brown getting traded until last offseason. And the reason why I thought there was a minuscule chance he could have got traded last offseason is because Damian Lillard was available. Now, it was unlikely Damian Lillard was going to land in Boston because most of the people were saying Miami, 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 Miami. It was a foregone conclusion. Damian Lillard was going to Miami. We know he ended up going to the Milwaukee Bucks. But Brad Stevens, who could have bowed down to the public pressure, could have listened to the local and national radio hosts, could have heard the noise and had the noise impact him, remained patient. Understood that Jason Tatum is 26. Understood that Jaylen Brown is 27. You have two stars under the age of 30 years old. You've had a team that has been so close, yet so far. And what did Brad Stevens elect to do? After, let me remind you, Jaylen Brown had a no-show of a performance last year in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. An Eastern Conference Finals where Boston originally was down 3-0 to Miami, came all the way back to force a Game 7. Jason Tatum rolls his ankle, and Jaylen Brown, who, right, there's this thought he wants to be the star. There's this poor relationship between Brown and Tatum, and they get caught up on who's going to be the number one player. Jaylen Brown was a turnover machine in that blowout loss to the Miami Heat in Game 7. And what did Brad Stevens do? When I remember I was filling in with Perloff, we had Antoine Walker on, and that was a hot topic. Do you trade Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard? And Antoine Walker said, no way. He goes, nothing against Dame. I love Damian Lillard, but you got to trust this core because this core is so damn close and they'll get the job done. And Antoine Walker was right. And I know Brad Stevens for most of us because we remember him at the coach at Butler. They got to the 2 national championships, and then he was the coach of the Celtics where he got so close yet so far from winning an NBA championship. And when Brad Stevens, however you want to say it, got forced out of coaching, got promoted to president of basketball of operations, however you want to phrase that. When Brad Stevens went from the sideline to a luxury box, a sideline to an office, not many thought that Brad Stevens was going to last long in that role. Not that he was incapable of doing that role, but because you thought that fire was going to be burning in his tummy to coach another NBA team or make a triumphant return to college. And patience is so key in sports. And Brad Stevens displays an exemplary amount of patience. I just butchered that word. What was I trying to say there?
Exemplary.
Yeah, what did I say?
You said exemplary.
Whatever. You get what I'm saying. But Brad Stevens displayed an unbelievable amount of patience. Does that work for you?
It's like Porky Pig.
And not only did Brad Stevens display an unbelievable amount of patience, he doubled down. He gave Jaylen Brown the largest NBA contract ever. Ever! And look where we are now a year later. Jaylen Brown goes from the GOAT, and I'm not talking about greatest of all time, in that Game 7. He goes from the guy that let them down, the biggest reason why they lost that Game 7, to now, a year later, the Boston Celtics are 1 win away, up 3-0 from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown being NBA champions. This duo working, Brad Stevens bringing a championship to Boston, and the Celtics with some ceremony sometime in the fall, raising banner 18. And last night, after the Dallas Mavericks got off to a good start, the Celtics punched back. The Celtics withstood the early punch that the Dallas Mavericks were throwing. And Jason Tatum, who I said, need to give you a 30-point game last night. Jason Tatum did that. Jason Tatum early on was phenomenal in that game. And it kind of mirrored a little bit the feeling I had with the Mavericks in Game 2 that did carry over into Game 3. It felt like at halftime, with the way the Mavericks played, that the Mavericks should have been up by more. But they weren't. They threw a nice little punch right out of the gate. But when the bell did ring and you went into your corner the Celtics were not only standing, they were more than within striking distance, and you knew that they were getting their legs and they were going to be ready to counterpunch back in the rest of the fight. And going into halftime, the Mavericks only led by 1 point. And that felt like a great spot. I even tweeted out, the Celtics are in a great spot. And what you saw in that third quarter last night, that was a Boston Celtics team that said, I'm sick and tired of this nonsense that we don't know how to put away an opponent. I'm sick and tired of everyone discrediting them in the entirety of the season and never saying the Celtics were a great team, even though they were by far and away better than every other team in the league. You know, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum were sick and tired of hearing the noise. And the punch that they delivered in the third quarter and the thunderous slam that Jaylen Brown threw down, we were all ready to say it was over. Everyone tweeted on social media, that's it, that's the series, that's the game. But sometimes, to become a champion, you have to get scared right before you're about to become a champion. And all those things that we started to apologize and issue mea culpas about with the Boston Celtics and take back after that performance in the third quarter, they all started to pop back up again in the fourth. And it looked like the Celtics were on the verge of choking that game away. And if they choked that game away today, what would the conversation have been? It's 2-1, Porzingis is hurt, and here are the same old Boston Celtics with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I'm sure a lot of you thought that way. So my uncle and my cousin are massive Boston Celtics fans. I'm not a fan of the Celtics. I don't hate the Celtics, but I'm not a fan of them. I didn't grow up rooting for them. But I texted my cousin and my uncle at the end of the third quarter, and I said, congratulations, this game is over, this series is over. And in the fourth quarter, and they are very paranoid sports fans, right? The game is not over until it's over, even if they're bludgeoning a team. But I was very confident in that fourth quarter. Even when the Celtics looked like they were going to throw the game away, I never thought to myself that when the game ended, the Celtics weren't going to be victorious. And when relied upon, when needed, Jaylen Brown stepped up in a big way. And I get it. It was a 20-2 run. Kid calls a timeout. Luke is bitching at the officials. He fouls out. But I never thought the Celtics were actually going to lose that game because it was so apparent early on in this series, one thing. And I said this after game one. The Mavericks are not mentally tougher than the Boston Celtics. Go look at it. Jason Kidd at halftime of game one, begging his team, have fun. Have fun. That's what he's saying to his team. Then after game one, he's trying to play mind games with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Kyrie Irving tries to tell you, oh, the Boston crowd doesn't impact me. I may have acted like a jerk a few years ago, but this is different. And then think of Kyrie after game one, it comes out that he was fighting with fans in the stands, right from the stands, what Mike Gorman revealed. And then after game two, after he was a no-show again, when he said the fans needed to be louder going into the game, and he still didn't show up, Kyrie Irving's walking back to the Celtics fans, and he's putting 5 fingers up like we'll see in game 5. I'm not taking anything away from the Mavericks. They got there. No one thought they would get there. But it looks like Luka Doncic is more concerned about bitching to the officials. Kyrie Irving is more concerned about bitching to his fans or the fans in Boston. And Jason Kidd looks like he's more concerned about playing mind games with the Boston Celtics. Can they focus on their job? Can they focus on trying to win a game in the NBA Finals instead of having to do all that other stuff? And that was the sign early on in this series, right after game one, where some Mavericks fans, did they come after me after game one when I got on this show and I said Kyrie Irving doesn't have the mental toughness. And I said it in the clip. I get it. He hit one of the biggest shots in NBA Finals history. But he doesn't have the mental toughness to beat this Boston Celtics team. And this wasn't even a fight. This is 3-0. I don't care if the Mavericks win game 4. There is no way and I'm rarely a guy that says 0% chance, but there is a 0% chance that this Mavericks team has the mental toughness to come on back and win 4 games. They just don't. But what do we need to get back into? It's praising the Celtics. Because this Celtics team the entire year, even though their record was great and they were that much better by so many games against every team in the Eastern Conference, they're the best team in the league, we didn't give the Celtics praise because they haven't done it yet when it mattered the most, and we've seen them get so close before. But now, I don't want to hear from people, oh, this is a boring NBA Finals. Or, oh, this will be the least remembered NBA Finals ever. After dismissing the Celtics all year and not giving them their praise, you can't take away from this moment. And it goes back to the toughest thing in sports, and that's having patience. Especially in a big market, in a big passionate city like Boston, where they love their sports and they demand excellence. Because if it was up to a lot of other people, Jaylen Brown wouldn't be on this team. And Jaylen Brown is the highest paid player now in NBA history on one contract. Jaylen Brown is about to become a finals MVP. Brad Stevens is about to become a world champion executive. Jason Tatum's about to become a champion. Drew Holiday's about to become a 2-time champion. Al Horford has probably solidified his spot in the Basketball Hall of Fame because you factor in the 2 college championships that he won. Derek White is getting a ton of national recognition now and a bunch of praise. And Kristaps Porzingis, he won the Celtics game 1 of this series. I don't even care if he doesn't return for the rest of the series. And Joe Mazzulla, give him credit too. Because I thought it was a ridiculous conversation last year when people were saying Joe Mazzulla needed to get fired. You know, there was a conversation maybe Brad Stevens should have coached the team over Joe Mazzulla in the aftermath of the Ime Udoka situation, but saying Joe Mazzulla needed to get fired after last year was just flat out ridiculous. So don't tell me boring. Don't tell me, oh, who cares? No. That's disrespectful to the Celtics. The Celtics have waited so long to get praise, and now when they win that championship, whether it's in Game 4 or Game 5, and they have the Duck Boat Parade, you got to compliment this team. So it would have been very easy for me today, and it would have been easy radio for me to get on there and slam Luka, slam Kid, and slam the Mavericks. Don't get me wrong. We will do that. But we have to start the show today praising the patience of the Boston Celtics, who elected to add to that 1-2 punch, not break up the 1-2 punch. And it goes back to Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens kept those two together. Brad Stevens turned Marcus Smart, a fan favorite, not easy to trade, into Kristaps Porzingis, and one of the picks he got back for Kristaps Porzingis, he then moved to Portland to go get Drew Holiday. That's patience. That's knowing your team's capable, and that's giving those 2 guys that are excellent in Tatum and Brown enough to then go win a championship. And getting the right players in there after coming up short after getting so close. And I think out of anyone in this series, the player that's going to get the most national recognition is Jaylen Brown. And I'll be the first one to say it. I thought Jaylen Brown was a very, 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 very good player. I called him one of the better 2-way players in the league. I didn't know he had this in him. Because we've seen it before, him not be able to go left, him come up small in the big game. But Jaylen Brown has taken that all personally. And Jason Kidd, you know what's funny in the mind game he's playing? And this is not a slight at Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum is a top 10 player in the league. But right now, Jaylen Brown's playing like he's the best player in the Boston Celtics. And good for him. He'll win the Finals MVP. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. When we come on back, I can't watch Luka Doncic anymore. I just can't do it. We'll discuss next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're in the right place. The Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network, and that's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show. Man, oh man, what a brutal performance last night by the Dallas Mavericks. And I get it, okay. You know, in the first quarter, they came out of the gate swinging. Then it didn't really reflect their effort early on. At the end of the first quarter, at halftime, they were only up by 1 point. And then in the third quarter, they got smacked in the mouth. And not only did they get smacked in the mouth, you thought they would pack it up and go home. Like, I'm not going to give them praise for showing up in the fourth and giving a little bit of a fight in the fourth and making me think that this was actually going to be a game for like a second in the fourth, even though I never thought the Celtics were going to end up losing the game. But I'm not praising the Dallas Mavericks because they went on a 20-2 run, and then Jason Kidd basically took a knife to that 20-2 run by calling a timeout. And the reason why I'm not praising the Dallas Mavericks is because these are the NBA Finals. You're down 3-0. I saw some video. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if they ended up making it on the court, but they had these open media availabilities in the finals. There was no Dallas Mavericks players on the court to practice. So is this just okay? We need a mental day, and we'll eventually talk to the media. And I think they ended up talking to the media because I saw a few clips. But did you not even practice? Is this just okay? Show up for Game 4 tomorrow night and see if you'll be able to send this baby back to Boston. Is that what this is? Is that the last-ditch effort from the Dallas Mavericks? Because it looks like the Dallas Mavericks are focused on so many other things than just beating the Boston Celtics. And I've talked about this, right? Kyrie's antics in the first 2 games, Jason Kidd with his comments. But I look at the Dallas Mavericks, and you knew that Luka and Kyrie were going to have to give you 4 out-of-this-world efforts. And I know you could talk about the other teammates not showing up, but you knew Luka and Kyrie were both going to have to give you 30-something points 4 times in this series to at least have a chance. And Luka in Game 2 had 23 points in the first half, didn't show up in the fourth quarter. Kyrie showed up last night. Luka Doncic is more concerned about complaining to the officials and not getting back on defense. And I said this going into the series, that a lot of people are going to be annoyed with Luka Doncic at the end of this series. Because after the Western Conference Finals, a lot of people had the take of, oh, look how great Luka Doncic is. Oh, look at this Mavericks team. They're in the NBA Finals. And you should have that take. But Luka Doncic, when things don't go his way, even when things do go his way, he's constantly bitching to the officials. And you can't be bitching to the officials when it costs you from getting your ass back on defense when we know you're going to give a lethargic, putrid effort anyway on defense. And I know Dallas fans, they're a bunch of crybabies. And I know of Dallas fans, they always look to make excuses and do the woe is me, we got screwed. If you look at the officiating last night, and if that's in your top 2 reasons why your team, or top 3 reasons why your team lost the game, you lost. You really are. And I was surprised Luka fouled out. I was. I thought they were going to overturn that call, even though they shouldn't have, and they didn't. But Luka Doncic, or someone who barely plays an ounce of defense, he still got 6 fouls. And I give him credit because he's playing hurt, and I give him credit for that, and I respect him for that. But there is no reason for Luka Doncic on every possession, it feels like, to be having a fight with the officials. Are you trying to play the officials? Are you trying to fight the officials? Or are you trying to go up against the Boston Celtics? Because you can't do both. But he's trying to do both. And we know the Mavericks are failing up against the Celtics. But when you are that distracted by the officials, and the officials have not been bad in this series. Like, there are some times when we look at championship games, and I hate to do this, radio. I do. It pains me when we have to do it. And the officials are a big conversation. The only reason the officials are a big conversation in this finals is because Luka Doncic is making excuses. He's being a crybaby, and he's making excuses. How about you stop exerting your energy trying to fight the officials and cry your way to calls, and you go out there and try to beat the Celtics one time? How about you do that? And don't tell me there's this big discrepancy with the officiating. That's a bunch of nonsense. Last night, Dallas players were called for 17 personal fouls. Celtics players were called for 19 personal fouls. The free throws. Dallas got to the line 16 times in the game last night. Boston got to the line 14 times in the game last night. This is not one-sided officiating. It's not. And I know earlier in the playoffs when things didn't go well for Luka, and I get it, he's legitimately hurt in multiple ways. It looked like he was doing the Urban Meyer falling on the floor and pretending like he was dying. But now Luka Doncic is just getting into long conversations with the officials where it's taking away from his defense, which he barely plays anyway, but also it's taking away from his focus. And it's kind of crazy because we talked about this before, how the Mavericks, who have exceeded expectations, the Mavericks who are in the NBA Finals, how right now this team is just looking mentally soft. They are mentally soft right now up against the Celtics. And the Celtics have this desire and this drive because they've been there before. They've been so close. They haven't got the job done. And Boston doesn't care about all this other nonsense. And I know a lot of players bitch about the officiating. I don't see Boston complaining about the officials that much. You see Luka doing it every trip up and down the court. I see Boston giving max effort on the defensive end. Luka's giving no effort on the defensive end. Jason Kidd's trying to play mind games with the Celtics. Kyrie's getting into fights over the crowd. It's like crazy. Because I understand the Mavericks have exceeded expectations this year, but they're blowing an opportunity. You are there right now. And through the first 3 games, the Dallas Mavericks have acted like a bunch of clowns. And Boston looks like the team that has won 7 championships, and we know this group hasn't won a championship yet. And I get Boston has the experience, and outside of Kyrie, Dallas doesn't have experience, and Jason Kidd too. But Jason Kidd's coaching. But it's crazy, the discrepancy between these two teams when one team is locked in and one team's doing whatever it takes to win, and the other team, whether it's talking about the fans in Boston, whether it's talking about who's the best player on the other team, or it's Luka Doncic just crying over and over again about the officials and arguing with them in the game, and he's not getting his ass back on defense. Here is Luka Doncic, by the way, on his thoughts on fouling out of Game 3 of the NBA Finals.
I don't know. We couldn't play physical, so I don't know. I don't want to say nothing, but, 6th foul in the NBA Finals, where basically I'm like this. Come on, man. Better than that.
No, you're better than that. You should be better than that, Luka. This officiating's not one-sided. But you've been lazy in this series. That's the bottom line. Luka Doncic has been lazy in this series. And I get it. These injuries have played a big factor probably into some of the up and down play. But you know what isn't acceptable? You sitting there and yelling at an official for 30 seconds when your teammates are getting back and playing their ass off on defense. This isn't hockey. This isn't a power play. This isn't 5-on-4. Get your ass back and play defense. 6 fouls in the NBA Finals. Oh, come on. Dude, what were the illegitimate fouls on Luka Doncic? What were they? What is Luka so upset about? How about you say, hey, we suck tonight. Hey, we got to be better. We're going to give our best effort in Game 4 instead of, the officials. Jeez Louise. He's been insufferable in this series. And he's a great player. I'm not taking anything away from him. He is a great player. But in the NBA Finals, his attitude, and I know it's been more than just the NBA Finals. I know, right, when Luka's got there, he's complained about the officials. We know that. This happens all the time. I can't stand it. 2 things I can't stand when I watch the NBA. How many dumb 3-point shots they take. Even the Celtics who won last night, and that game got close, they were chucking up some stupid 3-pointers. So the 3-point shooting, I get it. Shoot the ball, okay? I'm not saying don't shoot the ball. But can you take actually a smart shot before you shoot the ball? And then it's the constant bitching about the officials. All right, we've seen it with LeBron, and now we're seeing it with Luka Doncic. All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back. Tom Brady was inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame last night. Peyton Manning made a surprise appearance, and that was some awesome football back and forth between TB12 and Peyton Manning. Will we ever see a Brady-Peyton type of rivalry again in the NFL? Who's going to be Patrick Mahomes' biggest rival moving forward? 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Here is Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, the Yankees have won 12 of the last 14, going for the sweep today in Kansas City, but Alec Marsh has other ideas. He is through 6 and has yet to allow a hit. The Royals lead the Yankees by a score of 2-0. Right now, the Braves, trying to avoid being swept in Baltimore, they lead the Orioles by a score of 4-3 in the top of the 9th. Justin Henry Malloy, a home run for the Tigers, his second, and Detroit leads Washington 7-2 in the bottom of the 8th. The Pirates and Cardinals are even at 3 in the bottom half of the 5th. In the U.S. Open today, first round action, the leader, after a solid opening 65, is Patrick Cantlay at 5 under, 1 shot better than Ludwig Aberg. Matthew Pavone is 2 shots back, and Rory McIlroy jumping into the mix. He's 2 under through 7, leaving him 3 shots off the lead, while Scotty Scheffler is 1 over through 7 so far today. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight in Edmonton. The Panthers have a 2-0 series lead over the Oilers, and the Sharks have promoted assistant Wyan Orsofsky as their new head coach. I'm Rich Ackerman.
It's Andrew Perloff. We're talking NBA and NHL all this week on the Infinity Sports Network. Tune in on SiriusXM Channel 158.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. This portion of the show is sponsored by the new Hyundai Tucson, available with complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Now it's easy to use your phone to control your Tucson. I'm sure we were all locked in last night to the Tom Brady Patriots Hall of Fame ceremony, right? Carlos, you definitely watched that entirety of the great Tom Brady getting inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Not 1 second.
Oh, that's disappointing. Samter, I know that you respect history. I know that you respect the greatness of Tom Brady. I'm sure that you were all tuned in to the Patriot Hall of Fame ceremony of the great Tom Brady.
Oh, 100% didn't turn it on.
Well, that's stupid of you. Can you turn my camera on, by the way, on YouTube if you don't mind, one of you guys? That would be helpful, too. How can I trust your opinion when you can't even get the camera up on YouTube? And then also, you guys didn't watch the great Tom Brady induction. So what else were you watching last night?
First of all, it's like driving a spaceship back here, all right? Sometimes the camera gets forgotten about, but, camera's on now. Hi, camera.
You look at my face. You should be wanting to see more of it, honestly.
The less of your face while we're talking about Tom Brady, the better.
Yeah, well, everything I said about your wings yesterday, I was lying. They were below average at best.
That's a low blow even for you.
They were actually pretty good. That ceremony was very cool, though. Like, even if you're not a Patriot hunk, I'm not saying I expect Carlos and Samter to tune in, but if your team could ever dream about having a player like Tom Brady, the Patriots had the perfect kind of ceremony for TB12, where you had all the fans fill out Gillette Stadium, and you had all the former players come back, and it was very neat because Randy Moss got a standing ovation, which literally moved him to tears and brought him to tears. But I thought the coolest part of it, honestly, was a few things. Three things really stood out to me from this. Randy Moss, the ovation he got, and him crying, I thought that was just pretty damn cool. The respect, we always know Brady Manning respect, but Peyton Manning showing up, surprising Tom Brady, and then just hearing their football knowledge. Tirico did the event. I would say it was probably at least 15 minutes of Brady and Manning on the stage, if not more than that. It was pretty damn cool. It was a long ceremony. Like, I thought this was going to be a 90-minute, two-hour ceremony. The third quarter was going on in the finals. And this ceremony got underway at 7. And the third quarter was going on right when it was wrapping up. But I thought the best part, and it has nothing really to do with Brady, but because Belichick's there, and there was a big thought that Belichick wasn't going to show up, but Belichick does show up, and Bill Belichick, he gives this speech, and it wasn't even the speech, and I find it so funny how awkward Belichick is, but the fans were like able to say goodbye. Not that he's dying, but the fans were able to say goodbye to Bill Belichick and give him a standing ovation, because it was such a flat ending in New England and such a contentious ending in New England. Talking about Belichick with Kraft and how that's been portrayed recently. And it was very cool. Obviously, the fans should have his back, but the fans giving him a standing ovation and hearing Bill basically shake at the microphone and go, all righty, thank you, guys. Thank you. But the fans were like, Bill, sit there and take the rounds of applause here. So I thought those were the three best moments. And then also Brady's mom with the health issues that she had to fight throughout the years, to be able to see that moment and how often she was crying during the whole thing. I thought that was emotionally moving as well. But based off of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning reuniting on stage, I got very nostalgic. And the reason why I got very nostalgic, now hold on. Before I get to the nostalgic point, people have been giving Jay-Z a lot of heat for showing up to this ceremony. I don't understand why. Like, I saw Brian just put in the YouTube chat, I lose all respect for Jay-Z for being a sellout and doing a concert there. Tom Brady ran out onto the field for years to PSA, public service announcement. We'll do a Zach Gelb Show PSA coming up later in the show, by the way. So Brady and Jay-Z have hung out a bunch before, and Michael Rubin's tight with Jay-Z, Michael Rubin's tight with Tom Brady. So that's why Jay-Z was there last night. And how the heck is Jay-Z a sellout and doing a concert there? Because he's a New York, like that's what people are freaking out about. I love Brian, and Brian, let me be clear, I'm not calling you a loser, but I like Brian, but there's so many loser takes from this Brady ceremony last night. That may be the biggest loser take. And there was one person in particular, it wasn't Brian. It was this guy Alex who does like this Knicks podcast. And I know Alex, he's a good dude, but he's like, I can't believe Jay-Z is there. I can't believe it. And I had to respond to him like, hey, jackass, the reason Jay-Z is there is because Brady ran out to that song, and that's how they opened up the ceremony. So that's the bottom line with that. But Jay-Z's now a sellout? I thought that was pretty damn cool. You think Jay-Z, you honestly, Santa, I see you shake your stupid little head over there. You think Jay-Z's a sellout?
100%.
Why?
The guy's he has a song called New York. He talks about being more important than the Yankees for the Yankee hat. Mm-hmm. He owned the Brooklyn Nets. He is New York through and through. His identity is a New Yorker. You can be friends with Tom Brady all you want. Don't show up to a Tom Brady Patriots Hall of Fame induction. You want to go to Tom Brady's birthday? Cool. You want to go to Tom Brady's Hall of Fame induction? Cool.
You know you're a hypocrite, right?
Performing at Tom Brady's Patriot Hall of Fame induction is a sellout move.
You know you are. Thank you. Turn the music up. You know you're a hypocrite, right, Santa? You're a hypocrite, you're a phony, and you're a fraud for everything you just said.
In what way?
You're a sellout. You are a Jet fan. You were a Jet fan. And now you're a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs?
That's not a sellout.
Yes, it is.
No, sellout is turning your back on your team for financial reasons. For financial reasons. That's a sellout.
Please.
Me leaving the Jets to become a Chiefs fan means I just change allegiances.
You're a fraud.
If Jay-Z is going to say, I'm a Patriots fan now, I renounce all things New York, then he's not a sellout.
So he can't show up to play at the greatest quarterback of all time ceremony for a song that Brady ran out to because you are a dopey sports fan. You're like, oh, he's from
Is he
New
going to
York.
show up to every player's
no,
Hall
because
of Fame
it's Tom
induction
freaking Brady.
Any baseball player who comes out to Jay-Z songs, Jay-Z's got to be there to perform live.
It's Tom Brady. There's only a handful of people that Jay-Z would do it for, and one of them's Tom Brady because it's a GOAT respecting a GOAT.
And he's the enemy. He's the enemy.
What are you talking about, enemy?
Patriots are the enemy of all things New York. Sellout, Jay-Z. Sellout.
You don't actually believe that.
100%
Carlos,
sellout.
So, like, I sometimes think you are a sane person. You definitely have to be the logical person here. Do you have a problem with Jay-Z showing up and playing one song last night to a song that Brady ran out to for like 15 plus years and Brady and Jay-Z having a relationship in the past?
No, not 1 second, because they were giving credence to like Jay-Z being this ultimate New York fanboy. I never see him rock anything other than a Yankee cap. Like, I don't look at him as like some sports fan.
There was some photo from like 20 years ago. The Nets are irrelevant. The Nets are like, Come on.
Irrelevant or not, he owned them, and they're in Brooklyn.
He owned less than 1% of them.
You really are calling Jay-Z a sellout. I think it's great that Jay-Z was on stage last night. I thought it was great, and it's a GOAT respecting a GOAT. And if you have an issue about that, it's just because you know what? I'm going to say it. It's a loser mentality. It is a loser, pathetic mentality. And it's a dumb, dopey sport fan mentality. Territorial. Jay-Z. You're a Jet fan. You grew up you had Jet gear on. You wore Jet gear before. So how dare you play at Tom Brady's concert? Tom Brady's ceremony honoring him into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Come on. Nonsense. Now, I will say off the ceremony, it was very cool getting Brady and Payton back together. I just want to ask this question, and just give me the name here, Carlos, and give me the name here, Samter. Who will be Patrick Mahomes' biggest rival when it's all said and done? Because Mahomes is the Brady of this equation. So who's going to be the Peyton Manning to Mahomes the way that, Brady and Peyton did battle for all those years? I don't know if we'll ever see something like that again, because for a while, people thought those were the two greatest quarterbacks of all time. When you look in the annals of NFL history, you got to have Brady 1, Montana's 2. Quite frankly, I think Mahomes has already done enough to move past Peyton Manning in the all-time rankings because he's had the MVPs and the Super Bowls. But if we look at it just from the Mahomes standpoint and say Mahomes is Brady, who will be the Peyton Manning of this era? I'll start with Carlos. Go ahead.
I think we already have it. The parallels are similar with how their careers have started. Patrick Mahomes is beating up on Josh Allen right now, so I think Josh Allen would be Mahomes' rival, akin to Brady and Mahomes. Or, I'm sorry, Brady and Manning.
Samter, who's yours?
Josh Allen. Don't make me laugh.
Wait, hold on. When you turn on this microphone, you are representing our network. Don't make me laugh. You would dream for your Jet team to have a quarterback like Josh Allen.
He's great. He's not a Mahomes rival by any means.
But they have all these great classic games. It's very similar to Manning and Brady early on when Brady kicked the crap out of all those Colts team, and he was the one guy standing in his way. Josh Allen's kind of Peyton Manning light is the way that I would say it.
Peyton Manning had 2 MVPs in his first 7 years, led the league in 9 different categories during those times. Josh Allen's led the league in nothing, 1-0 MVPs. Josh Allen's not anywhere close in the first 6-7 years of his career to Peyton Manning.
You just heard what I just said. Peyton Manning light.
Yeah, he's
Josh. Shut up for a second. Shut up for a second. 37 touchdowns in 2020 throwing, 36 in 2021, 2022 35, 2023 29. Plus, you can't just stop there. You got to go into the rushing touchdowns as well for Josh Allen. And when you take a look at that from, where did I start off at? From 2020? From 2020, he also had an additional 8, 6, 7, and 15 when you look at rushing touchdowns per year. And Josh Allen would have won a Super Bowl by now if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes. And he's gone toe-to-toe with Mahomes, and his defense continues to let him down.
Yeah, it's not Josh Allen. Josh Allen will be 4th on this list. I put Joe
Fourth?
Burrow. I put Joe Burrow ahead of him and Lamar Jackson. Before this year, I would have said Joe Burrow. This year, now that Lamar Jackson has his second MVP, he wins 1 Super Bowl, he starts becoming into that conversation with Patrick Mahomes. I know Mahomes is still ahead of him.
But Lamar Jackson, how long is he going to be able to play? Because that was the other thing. Both these guys played for such a long, long time.
This is true. But Lamar has stayed a lot more healthy than we thought that he would with the amount that he runs. He does get hurt.
He avoids taking hits, but
yeah.
Up until this year, the last 2 years, he was on the sideline at the end of the season. I think it's only 2 people that you could consider that have already accomplished stuff in the league, and it's Josh Allen and it's Joe Burrow, right in the AFC. I'm not disputing the 2 MVPs that Lamar did win. But then if you want to look at the future, like CJ Stroud, got a long ways to go. Caleb Williams in a different conference, so tough. But if Caleb Williams could be all that, maybe you see them go up against each other a few times in the Super Bowl. But I'm with Carlos. I'd rather have Joe Burrow over Josh Allen. I think the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL in order, 1 Mahomes, 2 Joe Burrow, 3 Josh Allen. But with how many times those teams have played, and I get it, the Bengals have actually defeated the Chiefs in an AFC championship game. But those are some classic games between the Bills and the Chiefs. And forever, Brady dominated Manning, and then Manning finally got through in that 2006 AFC Championship game on that comeback to beat Brady and go on to win the Super Bowl. Mahomes, Allen, it does feel like Brady, Manning, not to the same level, because nothing will ever top Brady and Manning again, but that's what it feels like now the last few years, with it being Patrick Mahomes going up against Josh Allen. It's amazing. Samter, a Jet fan, known as a loser as a football fan. He holds his head up high and his nose up high whenever talking about Josh Allen. He thinks he's above Josh Allen, and I will not tolerate that. Coming on back to this Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, we continue. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Well, I will not tolerate Samter slander of Josh Allen. You could always tweet me at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. You know, Samter, this is actually back-to-back producers that I've worked with that have slandered Josh Allen. Hickey, at one point, when I worked with the great Hot Take Hickey, he did a take where he said on my show that he'd rather have Carson Wentz than Josh Allen. And then about a week and a half later, he was like, yeah, that's the quickest I will revert on a take. So Adam Ritchie, who's been a long listener of mine, he tweets me a lot. His handle is Depressed Bills Fan. He always reminds Hickey of that. So he just heard your commentary and he tweeted me, Moist Mike should have been fired for switching teams the way he did. He has no right to call anyone else a sellout. Also, Allen Mahomes is Brady's Manning. Then he goes on to say, what's up with the lazy producers of the Zach Gelb Show bringing up interceptions when slandering Allen? You would kill for Josh Allen. And then he called you an absolute fraud. So this has now been back-to-back. This is like the Twilight Zone for Depressed Bills fan Adam. He's heard Hickey slander Josh Allen. Now he has heard you slander Josh Allen.
Yeah, Bills fans mean nothing to me. All a bunch of clowns jumping through tables and fire and Bills Mafia.
Well, Bills Mafia, it's a very nice fan base. And trust me,
apparently not.
No,
a bunch of sensitive little clowns over here.
I don't know. It sounds like you're now the sensitive one.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm going after Josh Allen. He's coming after me. So that to me, like now I'm getting defensive because you want to come after me. If you want to come after my quarterback, my team, or something like that, sports related, let's go. Let's have a debate. But if you're going to get so butthurt by me going after your quarterback who's fallen short and fallen short and fallen short time and time and time again, while you jump through stupid tables in the snow, you idiots, then you know what? Maybe you come up with something better.
I will actually say Buffalo is one of the best environments I've ever been to for a football game. I think it is awesome. The amount of wings that are consumed, the craziness that goes on in the parking lot. I have enjoyed every time I've gone to a game at Buffalo. And my cousin, because he had a Patriots decal once on the back of his car, had a dent once put into his car. And even with that being said, I've always enjoyed my experience in Buffalo. I love Buffalo because Buffalo is about a few things: food, family, and football. That's what Buffalo's about. And a lot of alcohol, too. When I go to Buffalo, and I prefer to fly to Buffalo than to drive, but I've driven there before. But when I fly back, I feel like I've gone to New Orleans, actually. And if you've ever been to New Orleans or you're not from New Orleans, you know what that means. You felt like you just gained 10 pounds and you did a bunch of disgusting things for 3 days. So I love me some Buffalo. I have no hatred towards the Buffalo Bills or Bills Mafia. I actually find them to be a very pleasant group. And I think we should maybe take a show trip to Buffalo, to Orchard Park, and have Bills fans slam Samter through a table. I think it'd be a very enjoyable experience. Or how about not slam it through a table, because we don't need to encourage violence. The guy that gets ketchup and mustard sprayed in his face in the tailgate, maybe we have you do that. Maybe we have you get sprayed with ketchup and mustard all in your face.
Whatever works for you, buddy.
You're not down for that? I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be a fun show bonding experience.
Yeah, that's fun. Getting attacked by a bunch of ravenous idiot fans and spraying ketchup and mustard in my face. That sounds like a blast. Can't wait. Let's
They're
go.
very nice, peaceful people. That
Peaceful
just enjoy
people
their football.
letting things on fire, jumping through tables, and calling me out because I called out your stupid quarterback.
Now he's a stupid quarterback? He's not a stupid quarterback.
Well, not stupid, intelligent-wise. I just meant like,
digging that hole deeper and deeper.
Yeah, jeez.
in the figurative sense.
Okay. By the way, I made 2 bets for the U.S. Open. I usually do 3 outright winners for the major championships. I elected to only put 2 names down, and one of them was Hideki Matsuyama, who won the Masters a few years ago. He's through 6. He's 1 over. And the other was someone I've had a very complicated relationship with, and that is Patrick Cantlay. I have been such a big Patrick Cantlay fan. For so many years, I've bet Patrick Cantlay as one of my picks to win a major. And then last year, I said, I need to not bet Patrick Cantlay so he could actually win. And he liked the tweet and then followed me on Twitter. And once that happens, I'm like, oh, now he's going to win. So then after putting that tweet out there, I threw some money down on him. But this year, I didn't think he was going to win the Masters. I said I'm picking other names. I almost hit DeChambeau for the PGA Championship with the Wanamaker Trophy, and I didn't bet Patrick Cantlay. And then the other day, I'm looking at his odds, and he's 60-1. And I go, at 60-1, I could not stomach him winning a major championship at the U.S. Open and me not having some skin in the game. So I placed 2 $25 bets. One on Hideki Matsuyama, 25 to win $1,000. And then I put $25 on Patrick Cantlay to win $1,525. And now, after 1 round of the U.S. Open, Patrick Cantlay is 5 under, and he sits at top of the leaderboard. Now, whenever you lead a major championship after one day, and we'll see if this holds through the rest of the day, I never feel good about your chances winning. So, I did take to Twitter today, and I tweeted, outside of his friends and family, I don't think there's been anyone rooting harder for Patrick Cantlay to win a major than me. Good start, but we got a long ways to go. And then I put a little gift of a piece of paper, and it says, your time is now. Release the beast. Within 2 minutes, Patrick Cantlay liked the tweet. So Patrick Cantlay has once again acknowledged my fandom and has acknowledged, outside of his friends and family, and also his caddy, the great Joey LaCava, no one has rooted harder for Patrick Cantlay than Zach Gelb. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm optimistic that he's going to win the U.S. Open. It's only 1 round, but I hope so. Tiger Woods was 4 over in his opening round. I'll give you some scores now, just guys that are even or under par. Cantlay is your leader at 5 under. Oberg, I never know how to pronounce the youngster's name. He's 4 under. Tony Finau is 2 under. Notable names: Rory McIlroy is 2 under. Terrell Hatton, who I like, he's 2 under. DeChambeau's 2 under. And by the way, McIlroy's through 9. Hatton's through 9, and DeChambeau is through 9. Other names here: Sergio Garcia shot an opening round 69. He's 1 under. Jordan Spieth is 1 under through 7. Harry Higgs. Well, I like Harry Higgs. Oh, he's only through 4, but he is 1 under. And that's where we'll kind of, let's see the evens. Koepka, Morikawa through round 1. They are even. They have finished their round at 70. And anyone else even that's notable? Tommy Fleetwood, even. Matsuyama, just birdie, so he's now even through 7. And let's see. Yep, that's where we'll draw the line in the sand. But we will continue to keep you up to date at Pinehurst with the U.S. Open. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Darren is in Michigan. He's next up on the Zach Gelb Show. Darren, what's shaking, my man?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Zach. I hope you can hear me okay. I've got no skin in this game, but I got to defend your producer here with the Josh Allen arguments going on. What have the Bills won? I mean, I've been a Cowboys fan, and believe me, I've been a long-suffering Dallas Cowboys fan, but, the Bills are the same team that lost 4 Super Bowls.
Yes.
They couldn't win one of them. Josh Allen has won nothing of significance. In fact, people conveniently forget how many interceptions and fumbles that guy has that cost his team. I mean, he is nowhere near Mahomes. I mean, there is no comparison. There's no rivalry. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, there is a rivalry. They go up against each other a bunch, and they play these classic games.
Yeah, but he never wins. I mean,
so let me ask you this:
sometimes
when he was dominant and gave his team the lead with 13 seconds left, that's his fault because the coach didn't squib kick the ball, and then their defense couldn't stop a team with 13 seconds left. That's his fault.
Well, I could argue about all the prior mistakes he made up to that point.
What mistakes did he make in that game?
Right? I mean,
he was perfect in that game. He was perfect in that game. The 13-second game from a few years ago?
I know what you're talking about. I mean, there's no player who's perfect in any game, per se.
He was 27 of 37 for 329 yards, 4 touchdowns, completed 73% of his passes, and he had 136 quarterback rating with 68 rushing yards. That's pretty damn close to perfect, if you ask me.
All right. I'm man enough to admit on that one, but it still stands. You're pointing out one game. Look at all the games they've played. He just can't seem to get over the hump, and you're forgetting about all the games that he hasn't been perfect. How many fumbles did he have last year? I'm driving. I can't look it up. But every year, he's one of the top fumblers for quarterbacks.
But where would they be without him? Like, Brett Favre turned the football over a ton. You would still want Brett Favre as your quarterback.
No, you're absolutely right. Well, Tony Romo, look up him with the Cowboys.
But Tony Romo never played like Josh Allen consistently. Tony Romo was a good quarterback. We never looked at Tony Romo as he was a top 3 quarterback in the league.
No, probably not. But he was a great guy at acquiring stats, just like Josh Allen is.
Well, Josh Allen has led a team that wasn't in the postseason for all those years to be a consistent perennial playoff team, win the AFC East for all those years in a row. He still's got to win a Super Bowl, but Josh Allen has been a great quarterback in this league.
Well, he's got to beat Mahomes in order for to be a competition. I'm sorry,
but Darren,
really.
No one was saying Allen is better than Mahomes. No one's saying that.
No.
What we were saying is, if you have another Brady Manning, who is going to be the Manning in the Brady Manning conversation? Mahomes is the Brady, and for years, Payton Manning came up short against Tom Brady, got embarrassed, threw 3 interceptions to Ty Law in one of those playoff games, had 4 picks in that playoff game, one was to Rodney Harrison, and they would always lose, and then eventually he got through. So that was just the point that Allen kind of is the Manning light of that conversation.
I just don't see a rivalry until he actually does it. That's my point. You can't get close if you lose every time and say, oh, what a great rivalry. You still lost.
So let me ask you this. Would you say Brady Manning up until Manning won the AFC Championship in 2006 wasn't a rivalry?
I would say that. Brady destroyed him every time.
So you wouldn't say it was a rivalry?
Close. Until Manning broke through and actually got some Super Bowls. Yeah, I agree. No, I don't think there was. I really don't. Brady owned him.
Yeah, he did.
Brady himself said it. In his comments, he's made jokes about it.
Sure. Hey, Dan, appreciate the phone call. Thanks so much. And obviously, you eventually have to win one. But this isn't a conversation in the now. It's looking forward into the future. If there is ever going to be a Brady Manning, what's the rivalry going to be? And we know Mahomes plays the Brady role. And for the Manning role, I think Burrow kind of he models more Brady game than Manning, I would say. But Allen's the guy. Like, Allen puts up these ridiculous stats, and you got to combine his passing touchdowns and his rushing touchdowns for his total touchdowns. He puts up a ton of yards. He is the offense, and I get it. Manning had Marvin Harrison Jr. and Reggie Wayne, but when you thought of the Colts, you thought of Peyton Manning, and you think of the Bills, you thought of Josh Allen. And he has been there. Close. Doesn't have the MVPs. And he has been there, and he's come up short. Sometimes his team's fault, sometimes his fault. But they haven't got the job done. And that feels like, even with Burrow, and I think Bengals and Chiefs is a bigger rivalry right now. Bengals and Chiefs. I get that. But this is just quarterback to quarterback right now that we're talking about. And it feels like Allen is Manning light and Mahomes is the Brady of this conversation. That's all Carlos and I were saying. And then we had some fun at the expense of Samter because Adam Ritchie was basically like, oh, here we go again. Another Zach Gelb Show producer who is just shredding his quarterback in Josh Allen. You know what's crazy? I can't believe I'm going to say this as a Patriot fan. I think I'm now rooting for the Bills this year. I think I'm rooting for the Bills to win a Super Bowl this year. Because it's like, don't get me wrong, it goes back to what we talked about earlier with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You got to have some patience. And Josh Allen has been super duper close. He has. And is he never going to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes in a big game? Maybe. You know, Stephon Diggs catches that ball this year. Maybe he does. But that, to me, I can't name many more rivalries outside of Burrow-Mahomes that have potential to be all-time great quarterback rivalries if you want to use Brady and Manning as the standard. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is the Zach Gelb Show. We'll play you some audio from Sean Payton when we come on back. Also, off of that audio, who's a coach you don't believe in entering this 2024 NFL season? It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network alongside Carlos with the K and also Michael Samter. We will take a timeout. We'll come on back. And you never know if you will get people on the show that praise Josh Allen like yours truly or if they'll shred him like Samter, who's just throwing Josh Allen's name right in the shredder. We'll be back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Like a rhinestone cowboy, riding out on a horse in a star-spangled rodeo.
The fun continues on the Infinity Sports Network.
Rhinestone cowboy, getting caught and let us
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. We are getting ready for our kickball game as we are going to be participating in the Dion Dawkins charity kickball game in Rahway, New Jersey, coming up at the end of the month. Here is our team so far, gentlemen. It is yours truly, Maggie Gray, our boss David Mayernick, Andrew Perloff, Elijah Stewart, Carlos Ortiz, Michael Samter. I am told Keith McPherson will be joining us. My buddy Michael Zahn, who I went to college with. And then, newest addition from the sales staff, Rob Breck is going to be joining us. Carlos doesn't know who that is.
No clue, but I love our sales division.
Yeah, because, you got to be more of a man of the people. You got to associate with people that just aren't on the air. So that is going to be our team so far. We have extended an invite to Sean Marash. I've extended an invite to Tiki Barber, Boomer Esiason, Craig Giannotti, Brandon Tierney, and I'm just assuming those are all going to be no.
Let's just name people that are not coming at all.
Yeah, I wanted to be a nice person, and I extended an invite to a few other people as well. So we'll see who's going to join the squad. But right now, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 10 people and 2 spots remaining that we got to fill. Or we'll just be stuck with some randoms that sign up as solo and individuals for this event. So we'll see how we will round out the team. I got to play you some Sean Payton. This is him talking the other day on how he handles the media criticism these days. Go ahead.
You got national stuff being said about the team and coaching lists. Like, do you have a separate compartment for, like, a middle finger, like a personal middle finger?
No, I think that I have 2 middle fingers. I've gotten better with age not using them. And I would say this has changed for me. It's more inward focused relative to our own team and what we're doing relative to as you get older in this. You don't waste the calories on certain things that I might have, back in 06, 7, 8.
Here's the question I have. And I'll go around the room here. Carlos and Samter, apex-wise, Sean Payton in Denver. What do you think the best thing he could do there? What do you think he could accomplish there? I'll start with Carlos.
Make it to the playoffs as a wild card.
Samter?
I mean, he won a Super Bowl in New Orleans. Everyone thought that was impossible. So why? I mean, I'm not saying this year, but why not a Super Bowl?
Your buddy Mahomes plays in that division, right?
Yeah, but though, if you make it as a wild card, once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. Sean Payton took a team that nobody ever, a franchise.
Yeah, they were a joke.
That people used to wear paper bags over their face, right? Like, you talk about the Bills and the Browns and the Jets being a moribund franchise. Like, the Saints were like a laughingstock forever. And he took them to a Super Bowl after a tragedy hit that city. Why can't he do it in Denver if he finds the right quarterback?
I find the coverage of Sean to be intriguing. And maybe I'm sensitive to this topic. I will admit that. But look how people recently have soured on Bill Belichick. I don't know what the narrative is around Sean right now. I've been critical of him. I don't think he's going to work in Denver. But would you say, Samter, that the public narrative about Sean right now is that most people are out on him than it is that they're in on him making this work in Denver?
100%.
Okay. So then I guess he is getting some of the Belichick kind of treatment, but also let's remind everyone, Belichick won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, and Sean's only won 1. I think a few things. I know Sean's a brilliant offensive mind, and the marriage of Sean and Drew Brees was phenomenal. But at the end of Drew Brees, that does matter. I'm not saying it changes someone's entire reputation. I'm not saying it changes the entire way we look at him. But after Drew Brees, they tried to tell us, right? I had Mike Westhoff on this network, who is a close confidant with Sean Payton. And Mike said there's a big belief in that building in Taysom Hill. And then Mike went on to say himself, this is a cold take, a very cold take, a frigid cold take, that he thinks Taysom Hill is Lamar Jackson, but with a better arm. And I love Mike. But that was the take that was said on these airwaves when we were called CBS Sports Radio.
And you think my takes are bad?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've never said that.
Mike Westhoff knows a lot more about football than you, but I don't know if you've ever had a take that is that bad. But it did feel like they were forcing Taysom Hill on us. And Sean was making it out to be that Taysom Hill was going to be that dude. And he has not been able to find a quarterback post Drew Brees. And it's why he left the New Orleans Saints, because he didn't have a quarterback. And he goes to Fox for a year. The Chargers don't fire their coach at the time. And he took the Broncos job, and he knew going in, he didn't think Russell Wilson was his guy. So now his guy is Bo Nix, who, if you would have told me, and I liked Bo Nix as a college player, I thought he was good. I don't think Bo Nix is going to be a successful pro quarterback. If you would have told me last year, even when I praised Oregon and I praised Bo Nix, that he was going to be the 12th overall pick in the draft, I wouldn't believe it. So I think it falls in line with kind of the arrogance you've heard from Sean, and that Sean always knows what the right flavor of the month is at the quarterback position because of what he did with Drew. But like Taysom Hill, he was a good gadget player, right? You had that one playoff game where Drew Brees didn't play well and Taysom Hill did a nice job running, catching, and throwing the football. Like, okay. And Drew Brees was the one turning it over. But Taysom Hill, no one ever, outside of Sean, Westhoff, and then, Brady Papinga. Brady Papinga was also on with us. And he had one of the worst takes. Samter, you may want to use Brady Papinga as well as another guy that you've never had a worse take than. He said something along the lines that Taysom Hill Here we go. I just searched my name and Brady Papinga on Twitter. Super Bowl champion Brady Papinga would currently take Taysom Hill over 25 starting quarterbacks in the NFL and believes Taysom Hill will one day be in the same category as, who do you think the 3 quarterbacks are? They are 3 quarterbacks who are still currently playing in the league. And this was said on December 1st, 2020, right here at the time on CBS Sports Radio, which is now Infinity Sports Network. Who do you think the 3 quarterbacks were? Just take a guess here. 3 quarterbacks that are still playing. Same category as.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson was not on the list. Carlos, you want to take a guess here?
Currently playing at the time, Josh Allen.
No. Oh, yeah. And still playing in the league. Not Josh Allen. I'll give you the 3 quarterbacks. So here was the take. Super Bowl champion Brady Papinga would currently take Taysom Hill over 25 starting quarterbacks in the NFL and believes Taysom Hill will one day be in the same category as Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and at the time, Russell Wilson. You're right, Samter. I don't think neither of us have ever had that bad of a take. But that's like, I know Brady Papinga, you could chalk it up, oh, he's a BYU guy. Okay. Sean Payton, though, really did believe in Taysom Hill. And that didn't work. Okay, everyone gets a mulligan. Bo Nix can be solid. Is he ever going to be a guy you win a Super Bowl with? I don't think so. And also, that roster has a lot of work to do. So my question becomes, I know I asked, what's the apex? I'm kind of, so Samter, you think it's Super Bowl, right? You believe Sean Payton can win a Super Bowl with Denver through time. I'm kind of with Carlos, though, where Carlos' apex was you make the playoffs, and maybe you win a playoff game one of these years. But I do wonder when people will start to flip on Sean Payton and when he ends up getting on the hot seat. Because last year, right, you knew he was going to win the battle with Russ. And that was year 1 where it got off to a slow start, and then they recovered. In year 2, this is not going to be a playoff team. Like, this roster is just not a good roster right now. So I would say he gets 4 years in Denver. And after year 4, if you don't believe in the direction of this team, he'll probably be let go as the head coach of the Broncos. So going into this year, let's go around the room here. Who's one coach in the NFL that you just don't have confidence in? And a coach I don't have confidence in, even though he has a great resume, is the coach that we're talking about in Sean Payton. I don't think they're going to be better than the team that they were last year. And I'm very skeptical on Bo Nix as a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I'm fascinated to see who Bo is with Sean and what is the early return. Not that it's make or break in year 1 for Bo Nix, but there's been a lot of comparisons to Drew Brees. And I just I can't even see Bo Nix ever having a third of the success that Drew Brees was able to have in the NFL. Carlos, who's a coach that you don't believe in going into this year in the NFL?
The popular low-hanging fruit answer is going to be Mike McCarthy. Does anybody have any faith in the Dallas head coach whatsoever?
And it's funny because he's won 3 straight seasons of 12-win games. But the standard for McCarthy is, can that team get to an NFC championship game, something that organization hasn't done since 1995. Samter, who's your coach, by the way, that you have no confidence in going into this year?
It's my former coach, Robert Saleh.
Your former coach.
No faith in him whatsoever. You can tell he has no control over that locker room. Even when he hasn't won anything. He might be the sexiest coach in the NFL, but he is not the sexiest coach on the sideline.
What a way to say that. Going back to that list.
Boom.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a break. When we come on back, we update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We call that segment the News Brief. But first up, maybe the sexiest update anchor on the national airwaves in America.
Face made for radio.
I've seen you on TV before.
Yeah, it's not a pretty sight.
Here he is, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Opening round of the U.S. Open, and Patrick Cantlay turned in the best round of the day, a 5 under 65, and really nobody, not too many challengers so far. Rory McIlroy is 2 shots back at 3 under through 11, and Bryson DeChambeau 2 under through 10. Right now, Ludwig Aberg is in second, 1 shot back after a 66. Matthew Pavone and McElroy are another stroke back at 3 under par. Baseball this afternoon, the Yankees were no-hit for the first 6 innings. Juan Soto broke it up in the 7th, and then in the 8th, singled in the go-ahead run, and they currently lead the Royals right now in the bottom of the 9th. The Cardinals on top of the Pirates 4-3, bottom of the 8th. These are finals. The Braves avoid a sweep in Baltimore, knocking off the Orioles 6-3, and the Tigers 7-2 winners over the Nationals today. The Lakers swung and missed on Dan Hurley, and now are rewardedly circling back to another candidate set to interview J.J. Redick this weekend. And Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight in Edmonton, which trails Florida 2-0. I'm Rich Ackerman.
It's Bar Winkler. We're talking NBA and NHL all this week on the Infinity Sports Network. Tune in on Sirius XM Channel 158.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
You know, I'm looking at our roster for the charity kickball game at the end of the month for Deion Dawkins' charity, the Buffalo Bills. How do we evaluate real quickly everyone's game? Like, Santer, how would you give your scouting report in kickball, just wondering?
Not a lot of power, but I'm going to get on base. I'm going to cause a lot of damage.
Okay.
I'm an asset in the field. I'm not going to make any errors or drop ball. I mean, I don't want to make any claims, but, you know, I'm not going to, like...
You won't be a liability.
Yeah, no, I played varsity baseball as a starting outfielder on my team, so I got talent. It's just, you know, not a lot of power.
My only fear is injury with you. I think you'll be a gritty player.
Oh, yeah.
I think you'll be a good player. But if I had to take a bet of someone to get hurt during this with your luck recently, I think it would be you.
Forget about luck, just my age. There's a 100% chance I'm getting hurt.
Hammy?
I mean, I woke up today, I couldn't move my elbow, my neck was sore, my back was aching. I'm a mess. Absolutely, I'm getting hurt.
I feel like Carlos is going to be like Mo Vaughn, where Carlos will have a lot of power. He'll have the big boot. But I don't think the base running is going to be all the greatest, Carlos.
It's funny you mentioned that because I would have given myself the designated kicker, like the Edgardo Alfonso role. Like, I can hit from both sides of the plate.
Okay.
But, yeah, the fielding, that's going to be an issue with these knees.
So maybe we just toss you at first base.
Oh, very possible. That's the best place to put me.
What do we think about EJ, Elijah Stewart? I think EJ can be productive, but once again, I don't know how EJ's going to do in the base running department. Now, he was like claiming to do gassers and all that stuff. I didn't keep up with their bet. Perloff, I feel like Perloff's going to be a good kickball player, Carlos. Like, I don't know. Well, Carlos, I will say to you, Perloff and Samter, one of them will get hurt. One of them will suffer an injury. But I think Perloff is probably like a good, like, bizarre game player.
Perloff will get hurt a finger or
stub a toe.
Stub a toe, jam an ankle. I'm gonna get injured where I'm actually gonna be sidelined with ice on my hamstring or have to miss the next day of work or something. Something bad's gonna happen.
Our boss David Mayernick, I think he will win the Spirit Award. He will be all heart. He may be our team leader. He may be the captain.
He's going to be Art Howell. Art Howell from Oakland when they went on that 20-game
I was going to say, hopefully not the Met version of Art Howe. And then I think is our preeminent player? I actually think it's Maggie. I think Maggie has a competitive side to her where Townie Maggie will come out and there will be a few expletives. If I'm looking at this list, most likely to get into a fight at a charity kickball game. Samter, you work with Maggie, isn't it? Isn't it Maggie Gray, you would say?
Yeah, well, Maggie's going to be a baller. She's going to be a baller. She's going to be vicious. She's going to be an attacker. She's going to ball out.
Now, I will have an honest scouting report for kickball. If it is a smooth delivery of the ball, if it's not bouncing towards the plate, I think I could give it a good boot. But once it gets bouncy, once there's a little crazy curve on it, if someone's trying to get a little sleazy trying to win this charity kickball tournament, that's when I think that would be my Achilles heel in my kickball game, I would just say. Anyway, without further ado, I'm not talking about Freddie Adu. It's time to update you with some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We get to a news brief.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra, extra, read all about it.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alberto E. says Perloff will get hurt and go visit his witch doctor with the Whirlpool. Delta 9 Brian says Maggie's going to lay down a bunt and run out the throw at first. That would be a good competitive edge and a competitive spirit of one Maggie Gray. Here is Jaylen Brown. He makes it clear. Celtics up 3-0 in the NBA Finals. This team has grown up.
Experience is the best teacher. All year long, we've been hearing about the Celtics of the past. You know, for the last 6 to 8 months, that's all we've been hearing is like all the different shortcomings we've had in the past. This is a new team. You know what I mean? We learned from those experiences, and in these moments, you could see that, we didn't run from it. We stepped up to the plate, and we found a way to win.
I think it's just that the experience and like he's saying, going through some of those tough defeats, and then you get back to the spot and you get close again, and it's okay. We're just not going to put up with it anymore. And we're going to find a way to prevail and get the job done. And you saw that in the third quarter last night. Even when it looked like they were giving the game back, Jaylen Brown then stepped up and made big opportunities and big moments. And you had Brown and Tatum combined for 61 points. And Brad Stevens made the right move, keeping those guys together, and then adding the proper pieces like a Kristaps Porzingis and then also a Drew Holiday. Let's go to Jason Tatum. He was asked about the possibility of being considered one of the greatest Celtics teams ever.
Obviously, it'd be cool enough to hang an 18th banner. I get that's the bigger thing. But there's never been a Celtic team ever with a better playoff record than what you guys have to this point. The 86 team went 82-18. You guys could be 2 games away from that as like the second best Celtic team ever in terms of record. How much more would that add to it when you think of all that this franchise has done? You guys could be at the top of a whole lot of lists in that record book.
I didn't know that. That would be really cool. But you guys probably would say we didn't play anybody to get here, so we just have to do it again next year.
I like that. That's a level of pettiness that I respect, because that's what everyone said, including yours truly. No one's going to care what they did in the Eastern Conference until they won a championship because of how weak the East was viewed this year and how much better they were than everybody. So I respect that being 1 win away, just kind of rubbing it back in everyone's faces. It's a good job by Jason Tatum, with his team only having lost 2 games so far in the postseason. Here is crybaby Luka Doncic. He gave his thoughts on fouling out in Game 3.
I don't know. We couldn't play physical, so I don't know. I don't want to say nothing, but 6th foul in the NBA Finals, where I'm like this. Come on, man. Better than that.
Come on, man. You're better than that. Stop bitching to the refs over and over again in the games. Stop wasting your time complaining to the refs, and you fail to go help your team back on defense. No, you're better than that, Luka Doncic. So start acting like it. Here is Danny Hurley. He was on the Dan Lebitard show earlier today, and he was asked, is there a contract number with salary and years that he would have left UConn for?
To leave, there probably is. To leave a place at any moment in your life, I think that to say that it's not a motivating factor, the finances to leave a place is definitely a thing. To stay at a place, I don't think it's ever going to be a thing. Like to stay somewhere like UConn, it would never have been, I think, a financial thing. Like, again, this wasn't like some pressure tactic to make me the highest paid college coach. Like that was already done. But to leave a place, to leave all that behind, there probably is a number. I don't know what that is.
I love the honesty there, because 2 things I take from that. Number one, he goes, the tactic basically wasn't using the Lakers as leverage. It was Kentucky, right? When Kentucky offered him $11 million a year. So we already did that. And the other thing was he basically, without saying it, he basically implied that the Lakers made a better offer. He could have been their coach. And that's the thing. I was all over the Lakers when we found out it was a 5-year deal or a 6-year deal worth $70 million. That's just not enough to go get Danny Hurley. Like, I speculated when it was first he was named that it was going to be $80 million over 6 years. They needed to make that 90, 95, or $100 million. And remember, John Fanta, who's a college basketball reporter, came on the show, and he heard that they were going to offer him $100 million over 6. Now, I don't know who John's sources are. I'm not going to do the source guessing game. But is there maybe something to be said that was people inside the know of college basketball that know Danny Hurley and maybe they were trying to say that's what it would cost, and that's what they thought Hurley was going to get when it started to feel like Danny Hurley was going to get that job. And the Lakers ended up just basically trying to say, oh, we're the Lakers. Oh, it's our great organization. You got to come join us on the cheap, when they were screwing around with Ty Lue, remember? 3-year deal. They wouldn't offer him the fourth. He wanted the fourth year. And now with Danny Hurley, you make him an offer, but it's only 6 years, $70 million. You had to up that offer a lot more. Here is Danny Hurley on his conversations with LeBron about the Lakers job. This is on The Herd with Colin Coward.
We had some text messages and incredible, message from him over the course of the weekend. Just talking about basketball and some different things, and letting me know, that if he was there in LA, that I'd have his support. And just like, think about that, man. Like that blew my mind. And then we got into a text exchange, and then the exchange even went through to when I chose to go in another direction. So it blew my mind when you get a text message from LeBron James.
So, Samter, you had a big takeaway from that. Tell me your takeaway on LeBron James, Danny Hurley just texting.
Well, so he actually spoke to the media at UConn today, and in that conversation, not that we heard in this clip, but in that conversation, he was asked, did you actually get to meet with LeBron? And he said, no, we just text. Mm-hmm. And I understand that LeBron isn't involved in this coaching search as far as input, but when it comes down to getting your guy, it's not just about giving him the right number. You have to recruit the guy, right? And this guy seems starstruck. Dan Hurley seems starstruck by the idea of coaching LeBron, being around LeBron, texting with LeBron. Mm-hmm. Send LeBron out there. Send him down for dinner. Have LeBron sell him on the Lakers. Have LeBron sell him on the team. Explain to him why it's the right fit, why his type of coaching is going to come there. Use LeBron as an asset. You don't have to use LeBron to get his input.
Does that need to be done in person? Because, it is 2024, right? And even since COVID, right, with Zoom and those kind of meetings, like, if Danny Hurley and LeBron had a conversation on text, isn't that enough? Like, I think that's enough.
So you had Magic Johnson on the show. Wouldn't it be cooler to meet Magic Johnson in person, sit down with him and have dinner with him? Than to have him on the show for 14 minutes?
But it's not a necessity for me.
No, but like,
especially with how quick they were trying to make this decision.
Yeah, but in-person meeting in a sit-down,
maybe
casual
LeBron was in like
environment.
Italy drinking wine.
So if you want him as your coach, flying back out. If Taylor Swift can fly back for the Super Bowl from Japan, LeBron can fly back for wherever the heck he was to come recruit your next head coach.
I think them just talking on the phone is more than enough, especially with how quickly this is moving. Here's Danny Hurley on a prank he played on the team.
I kind of demanded a commitment of X from them in there, and they didn't really know what I was doing when I went in, so it was almost like whatever you guys say and commit to is going to be the deciding factor, which was a lie. I already had decided, and I think no one had a phone in there, so no one could see Twitter. So that's why I like coaching guys this age. They're dumber than NBA players. I wouldn't have been able to pull that stunt off, but I got a great commitment from the group when I told them.
They're naive and dumb. Yeah, we love you, coach. We want to keep playing for you, coach. That's great. That's why I like coaching these guys, because they're dumb. But what did you want, by the way, Danny Hurley and LeBron to do, Samter? Did you want LeBron to invite him over to his house and have some tacos on Taco Tuesday? Is that what you wanted them to do, Danny Hurley and LeBron? Eat some tacos and drink some snobby wine while probably JJ Redick zooms in and tries to do a podcast? Oh, hey. Sorry, JJ. I'm talking to the guy I actually want to be the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. That is a news brief. We will take a time out. When we come on back, we will get into the NBA Finals once again. The Celtics are one win away from hoisting the Larry O'Brien Trophy once again, and they are about to raise banner number 18. And the Celtics, the reason they're here is because of patience. We will also get into Luka Doncic, more of Luka Doncic complaining about the officials, and maybe he should do another thing or two in this series besides complaining about the officials. The ESPN halftime show last night, I think it was like 5 seconds once again. I saw Brian Windhorst had some really good stuff, though, after the game. He's not a part of the halftime crew, where he was just shredding Luka Doncic. So we'll get back into the NBA Finals when we come on back in 5 minutes. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network, where Samter's old school. He doesn't believe in just texting people. He doesn't believe in just FaceTiming people. He wants interpersonal communication. He wants people in person and having a conversation. And he wanted LeBron James to stop everything he was doing to go meet with Danny Hurley in person. I don't think that's the reason why Danny Hurley's not the coach of the Lakers. It's because the Lakers were cheap.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, rocking and rolling. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Hour number 3 of our radio program. Late addition to the show. We should be joined 20 minutes from now by Celtics sideline reporter for NBC Sports Boston, Abby Chin. She's going to stop by as she is currently in Dallas with the Celtics taking a 3-0 lead in the NBA Finals. And last night, the way that I look at the game is in 2 different ways. Number one, it's credit to the patience of the Boston Celtics. Brad Stevens and so many people wanted to break up the duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, didn't do so. You had Brown and Tatum last night combining for 61 points. It looked like they delivered a knockout punch in the third quarter. I know the Mavs ended up going on a 20-2 run, but when you have one player score 31, the other player score 30 with Tatum and Brown hit clutch shot after clutch shot down the stretch, I never felt like, even when the Celtics looked like they were squandering a game that lead and they were squandering away that game, that they were ever actually going to lose the game. So you saw a Boston team that kept their duo together. They went through some tough times. They went through a lot of adversity. They made the right moves in the offseason. I know there was no Kristaps Porzingis last night because he was hurt, but Kristaps Porzingis won him game 1. Drew Holiday won him game 2. And since then, Brown and Tatum, they did take over the series in game 3. I would have said that after game 2 that Drew Holiday was your MVP. With how Brown played in game 3 and also factoring in what he did in games 1 and 2 being good, I would say Jaylen Brown is going to be your NBA Finals MVP, and the Celtics are going to win this championship. I don't see a way, and I know it's never been done before in the NBA, so it's not like, oh, this is some big, bold take. But I don't see any way that the Mavericks come on back and win this series. I don't. They're down 3-0, and quite frankly, this team looks just – they're not as mentally tough as the Celtics are. They look mentally soft compared to what the Celtics are. You know, with Kyrie and his antics, talking about the crowd in games 1 and game 2, then Luka Doncic complaining to the officials and costing his team not getting back on defense. Jason Kidd basically begging his team to just have fun in game 1, and then after game 1, he had to go to, Brown's their best player to try to start this debate that would maybe get the Celtics players distracted. That's not what champions do. They don't, and they don't look ready for the moment. And in game 2, the Celtics were begging them to win the game. They couldn't find a way to get the job done, even after having a good start in game 3. The Celtics got right back in it, and then the Celtics just took it to them in that third quarter on the home court of the Dallas Mavericks. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm sick and tired of seeing Luka complain to the officials and being a baby. I know he's done it all throughout the season. The guy's an incredible player. He's a top 5 player in the league. But I know he doesn't play much defense to begin with. But when you are literally not getting back on defense because you're bitching to the officials, it's just unacceptable. And you can't win a championship that way. Alrighty, I want to get back into a football point. We'll get back into the hoops coming up in 15 minutes from now. We'll go down live to Dallas to talk to Abby Chin, Celtics sideline reporter. Before I get to the NFL, Ariel Helwani has this update because it seems like this UFC 303 between Chandler and McGregor is just not going to happen. There's just a lot of ominous reporting about it. In addition to working on a new main for 303, Ari Helwani said, he's told UFC is also looking at a new co-main for that card. The current co-main, Hill versus Olberg, might need a new replacement now too. And if so, it could get bumped down. One new fight that has been discussed, not for the main, is Brian Ortega up against Diego Lopez. I'm so disappointed that, and I said this from the start when that press conference was canceled, when Conor McGregor was supposed to be in Ireland with Michael Chandler and Dana White. It was just bizarre. I was there at the press conference at the Barclays Center, and Dana said, the minute when this ends, I'm getting on a plane, I'm going to Dublin, Ireland. And then you find out from Saturday to Sunday, then to that Monday where the press conference was supposed to occur, that there was no press conference, and it got canceled. And for a while, after being told how many times this fight was going to happen, and then it gets delayed, I never thought it was going to happen. But then once they gave you the date and they had the press conference, they started telling the fan, I'm like, okay, this is going to happen. But once that press conference got canceled, I said, I hope I'm wrong. But this is starting to remind me of Mayweather and Pacquiao with all that nonsense and how long it took to get that fight. And I'll believe McGregor's returning to the octagon when I see it. So at this point, people are like, oh, that's a hot take, saying that this fight's not going to happen. It's looking like it's going to be a right take. And Helwani is the Schefter of the UFC. And he's kept on reporting that after there was some optimism, after the original pessimism, that now they're back into thinking that this fight is not going to happen. And we'll wait to see what does transpire with the UFC. I hope at the end of the month. I hope I'm wrong. I hope on June 29th, we go to the kickball game. We have a good kickball game. And then that night, I get to watch McGregor up against Chandler. But I don't expect that's going to be the case. All right, let's get back to the gridiron. Here's Anthony Richardson, who I think is going to have a big season for the Colts. He was asked about the difference between NFL and college football. Here is Anthony Richardson on the Club 520 podcast.
See, playing in the NFL, I feel like it's easier than college. For real, because like in college, you got players that's like they good, they know they good, but they're not as confident. You know what I'm saying? They got to rely on other players to do this for them to do that. But in the league, everybody trying to work to stay in the league. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep their job. Everybody trying to ball out.
For sure.
So that just let me know I ain't got to do too much. I just got to do my job. Hell yeah. And he going to do his job. And it's going to work.
I think that's very interesting. Because I think we were all in agreement, right? When he first said that, it's easier in the NFL than college, my eyebrow was like, huh? Like I raised an eyebrow. I even saw Carlos was like, what? And then Samter, when he first heard it, he looked perplexed too. And then eventually at the end of the clip, we all gave that look like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like, he is kind of right when he lays it out that way. Now, I do think the NFL is tougher than college. Don't get me wrong on that. But when you talk about the commitment level and how everyone's like all in and right, it's a grown man's game. I understand what he's saying, Samter, from the personal side of it. Where in college, and I'm not saying there can't be immature people in the NFL, but in college, you have teenagers, right, young adults, and in the NFL, everyone's trying to go to get theirs, where, I guess you could now make that case for college too, but, we're talking about actual contracts and things like that, where NIL is basically like you get your signing bonus and then it's how long do you stay there before you go get a signing bonus somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, especially as a quarterback, where you have to know every position and every route and every blocking scheme, sometimes in college or in the pros, whatever, there's too much information. And so it could be almost overwhelming. And his point is, I don't have to worry about all that other stuff. All I have to do is know where people are going to be, know what I have to do, and trust that they're going to get there.
Yeah.
And I've never heard it like that before, because it's always the opposite. It's always like, oh, man, I'm swimming in information. I'm seeing ghosts or all this stuff. The game is too fast for me. It's the first time I've really heard a guy being like, you know what? Now I just get to worry about myself, and I can see that side of it. And honestly, like, Anthony Richardson is one of those dudes. If he can stay healthy, he is going to be an absolute monster. He's just bigger, faster, and stronger than everybody. He's Cam Newton, just 20 years later.
Yeah, and it's going to be, can he get the arm consistently together? And I won a lot of money earlier on this year with Anthony Richardson with anytime touchdowns before he got hurt, even in the game that he got hurt and then was out for the season. I'm pretty sure I won money on him with an anytime touchdown. The only thing, though, that I'll just push back quickly, and I don't know if he meant it this way, but out of any position in the NFL, quarterback's the one where you just can't show up and expect that everyone's going to have X, Y, and Z taken care of. And I don't know if he meant it that way, but I was watching Brady last night, and like Brady always went out of his way with every position to meet and highlight the mistakes that they made right before the game, all throughout practice and things like that. I don't think it's that easy where Richardson could just show up and he only has to worry about himself. As a quarterback, you still have to worry about every other player that steps on the field on the offensive side of the ball. So that's like the only pushback that I have on that. Now, I think we could all agree. Anthony Richardson stays healthy. I think he's going to have a good season this year. You know, Anthony Richardson, I thought was about to become a fantasy football star, is the way that I'll say it. He was on his way to becoming one of those steal players in fantasy football, and that team almost made the playoffs last year, even without Anthony Richardson. So I'm not saying the Colts have big expectations this year, but the Colts are definitely in that playoff mix. So I want to go around the room right now, and I'll do this. Give me an NFL player that's about to have a breakout season. One's a quarterback, and one's a non-quarterback. And my quarterback hasn't played it down yet in the NFL, but it's Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams goes into as good of a situation as we've ever seen for a number one pick, even with an organization that's all they're known for is where basically quarterbacks go to die. But you have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze. They have a good offensive line now, and this is a spot where Caleb Williams can be a playoff player and be on a playoff team in year one. So I think Caleb Williams is going to have a monster year one in the NFL for the Chicago Bears. And my non-quarterback, this guy has been good, but I think not having a quarterback has held him back from being very good. But you look at this guy's first 2 years in the league, 72 receptions, 866 yards in 2022 and 4 touchdowns. Last year, 69 receptions, 905 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's 2 years in the league, 141 receptions, 1,771 yards and 6 touchdowns. I think Drake London is easily going to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year. And Drake London, he made some big physical catches last year, and he's a big physical dude. Like, he's got to be 6'4", 220, 225 maybe. Like, he's a big dude. I think Drake London getting a quarterback now and Kirk Cousins is going to have a big-time season. So my quarterback that's going to break out this year is Caleb Williams, and my non-quarterback is Drake London. Samter, what do you got cooking for me?
Well, I'm going to go with my non-quarterback first. I was first thinking JSN, but there's...
Ooh, I like Jackson Smith-Njigba a lot.
But new coach, and there's 2 other big-name receivers in front of him, so it's going to be... I think he's great. I just think that the situation is going to be tough for him. So I'm going to go with Zay Flowers. He had a good rookie year. You add Derrick Henry to that Ravens offense with Lamar Jackson coming off a second MVP. Zay Flowers is going to ball out. I mean, he was really good as a rookie. I think he's going to break out and be dominant this year.
And my one question about the former Boston College wide receiver, who is a speedster, he's a speed demon. He had that big fumble in the AFC Championship game. And I don't think we always recognize this in sports, but when you're a young player like that and, you know, there's a little bit of chagrin that happens in a big moment like that, how quickly are you able to mentally recover from that? But I think Zay Flowers is an excellent one. And who's your quarterback?
So I was going to go with Anthony Richardson, but then I started seeing some stuff coming out of a camp in the Midwest that's making me start to think that maybe a guy who had high expectations and hasn't lived up to them might finally get his opportunity.
High expectations and hasn't lived up to them.
Yes.
And what was the last part you said there?
So
may finally get an opportunity?
He's had opportunities, but he's going to finally break out.
In the Midwest?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Sam Darnold.
Oh, Lord.
Sam Darnold, former number 3 overall pick, who
Mono
saw
man?
a ghost with the Jets because there was nothing around him at the time. Went to Carolina, had nothing around him. Then he went to San Francisco, was so good in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan as the backup there that they got rid of the number 3 overall pick, Trey Lance. They were so confident in Sam Darnold, they're like, you know what? We moved up to trade for Trey Lance. We're going to just get rid of him and sell him off for nothing because we have that much faith in Sam Darnold backing up a quarterback who's coming off a serious elbow injury. So clearly he impressed enough in Kyle Shanahan. Then he goes to Minnesota, and he's impressing so much with Kevin O'Connell and that smart offensive-minded coaching staff that their top 10 quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, is getting third-team reps, and Kevin O'Connell's already saying Sam Darnold is our guy.
No,
I think
he
Darnold
said he's QB1 of the depth chart right now.
Yeah, but here's the
No
thing.
one thinks he's their guy long term.
You know what?
Can I tell you what's going to happen with
Just
Sam
saying.
Darnold? Who has some weapons. Sam Darnold plays the Giants week 1. You know he's going to destroy the Giants, and you will have every dope in the Giants actually have a good defense. You know, they have a lot of guys that get to the quarterback. With Dexter Lawrence, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, and they just got Brian Burns, who doesn't get enough national credit, and he's a phenomenal player. But you know, like Sam Darnold going to MetLife Stadium, even though it's not going up against the Jets, like he'll have a good week 1 game. And then everyone's going to say, see, it was the Jets, it was the Jets. Then Sam Darnold plays the Niners, the Texans, the Packers, and then the Jets. And he'll lose, if he's still the quarterback then, 3 out of 4 or maybe 4 straight games. Let me be abundantly clear. I have 0 confidence in Sam Darnold. And I think it's football malpractice to not start J.J. McCarthy week 1 if you're starting mono and seeing ghost in Sam Darnold.
I'm just going to say, Drew Brees struggled in his first few years in San Diego.
Oh, stop.
Then he went 11-4, 9-7, but they drafted Phillip Rivers. Drew Brees broke out because they drafted Phillip Rivers.
Drew Brees made a
and the
Pro
next thing
Bowl.
they know, he became a Hall of Fame,
Right.
one of the top 15 greatest quarterbacks of all time.
You know Drew Brees made a Pro Bowl with the Chargers. You know that, right?
Not before they drafted Phillip Rivers. They drafted Phillip Rivers, then he went 11-4 in 2004.
You know he made a Pro Bowl with the Chargers.
Not before they drafted Phillip Rivers.
When did they draft Phillip Rivers?
2004.
Okay, so what's the point? He still made a Pro Bowl with the Chargers.
My point was they gave up on him. They drafted a quarterback, number 4, or actually number 1 overall, Eli Manning, and then traded him for Phillip Rivers. They drafted a quarterback, number 1 overall in 2004 because they didn't believe in their second-round quarterback, Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees blew up, then went on to New Orleans, and was amazing.
You're not saying Sam Darnold is about to beat Drew Brees.
I'm just saying that the Vikings might have an existential crisis on their hands in which J.J. McCarthy is not going to be able to get playing time because Darnold is going to blow up, and crush it in Minnesota with Jordan Addison and T.J. Hawkinson if he's healthy and Mr. Jefferson with that contract. Sam Darnold is in a position to succeed. He's gonna look good, and then eventually they're gonna have to get rid of him, trade him for some assets. J.J. McCarthy's gonna be good, but Darnold's gonna blow up, and he's gonna be a Hall of Fame level
Can I ask you a
quarterback.
serious question? You now take the train in from Connecticut on your new commute.
Yeah,
You drinking that entire train ride?
on the way home, yes.
Yeah, you sure not on the way in? You're not sniffing and drinking things?
No, do I honestly think that Sam Darnold's gonna be a Hall of Fame quarterback? No, but I do think that
Don't
Sam
say
Darnold.
it.
I do think that Sam Darnold is going to play very well in Minnesota to the point where J.J. McCarthy will have a hard time getting on the field this year. And moving forward, Sam Darnold will be a start. With the talent around him, it's going to be impossible for him not to play well. He's going to have to be, honestly,
Is he the starting quarterback throughout the duration of the season? You said breakout. This question is breakout season. You're saying Sam Darnold.
You know what? I think...
No.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think J.J. McCarthy, maybe towards the end of the
Carlos,
year, maybe towards the end of the year, J.J. McCarthy gets a shot. But I think Sam Darnold is going to play well enough that they're going to have to keep him in until eventually they're going to be out of the playoff picture and they'll throw in J.J. McCarthy.
I have no reason to hate the Skull Nation. I'm not rooting against the Minnesota Vikings this year. And I've been very publicly supporting the Minnesota Vikings the last few years. Carlos, who's your breakout quarterback and non-quarterback this year?
Yeah, so I have a real answer. My breakout quarterback. Kyler Murray, man.
That's a good one.
Everyone has been heaping praise about Marvin Harrison, but dude, he doesn't have slouches in that receiver room also. Michael Wilson showed out as a rookie. I love me some Trey McBride. There's a lot of weapons. James Conner still in the backfield. There's a lot of weapons for Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is going to be a breakout candidate for quarterbacks this year.
I thought about that, but I wondered if it was like too cheap just because he's already had success and then kind of lost it. So that's what I was just thinking, but that's a good one. All right, who's your non-quarterback because we got to get to break?
Yeah, real quick, I'll give you Khalil Shakir from the Buffalo Bills. Someone's got to catch these balls from Josh Allen, and I know everybody loves Keon Coleman and how much he saves at Macy's, but Shakir had 2 touchdowns and 264 yards last 5 games, so I'll take me some Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, jabbing Samter with both those answers. You give him a real answer on the first one, and then you give a Buffalo Bill there, which, by the way, Samter put up a poll question on INF Sportsnet. Brady had Payton, who will end up being Patrick Mahomes' biggest rival. He put up Burrow, Allen, and Lamar Jackson as the choices. Lamar right now is at 17.2%, Joe Burrow is at 40.6%, and Josh Allen is at 42.2%. Take a time out. Abby Chin will join us next from Dallas as the Boston Celtics are 1 win away from being NBA champions.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
Celtics 1 win away from hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy. They're up 3-0 up against the Dallas Mavericks. What a third quarter that was last night for the Boston Celtics. And in the fourth, it got a little hairy. It got a little bit close. But then the Boston Celtics did prevail. Let's go down to Dallas. Abby Chin does a great job covering the Celtics for NBC Sports Boston as their sideline reporter, and she's kind enough to join us right now. Abby, thanks for the time. How you been?
I'm doing well. We went to Fort Worth today and got some custom cowboy hats, so I am feeling very Dallas right now.
Any barbecue? Did you get some barbecue?
Yes. Well, actually, I ate barbecue at the arena last night, but I had sushi the first night. I'm not sure that's very...
Sushi in Dallas?
Texas. Yeah. It was delicious.
Absolutely love that. I was not expecting that. Hey, by the way, last time I talked to you, I had you on last year. It was after the Celtics came back down 3-0. They forced the Game 7. Tatum gets hurt. Brown doesn't really show up in the Game 7. And there was a big conversation, obviously, in Boston. Are they going to break up the duo? Is this it for Jaylen Brown? Now we know Jaylen Brown got the richest contract an NBA player has ever got. And not only that, he's probably going to be the Finals MVP. Just how about what Jaylen Brown has been able to do in this postseason?
Jaylen Brown has been phenomenal. I will push back. If that was a question surrounding the team, that was not a question within the team. There was no doubt after last season ended, regardless of the fact that they were knocked out of the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, Jaylen was getting that contract, particularly after making the All-NBA team. So that was a done deal. But no, he has really. So the thing about Jaylen is, no matter what is happening, he takes the summer, he goes and works on his game, and he comes back better. And this season, it is on display. I mean, he took on the challenge of being a leader for this team, but also being the spark on defense. And that's something that without Marcus Smart, there was a real void with this group, and he took it upon himself to be that for this team. And you saw it in the results throughout the regular season. That has carried through this postseason. And the thing with Jaylen is his consistency, and that has been a goal for him ever since he came into the league, but I think that he really found that this year. And being able to take those snubs, not making an all-defensive team, not making the all-NBA team, he's channeled that into this postseason performance that, you're right, like the Eastern Conference MVP, and right now you could argue the front-runner for the Finals MVP.
Yeah, and the cool part is, because I know what you just said in regards to that was never really a conversation in the Celtics organization, but you know what it's like living in Boston. You got a big, passionate city, people trying to break up the duo. It's not easy to remain patient. I know that Brad Stevens, to us nationally, is kind of out of sight, out of mind because he's no longer coaching. But keeping that duo together and kind of taking on some of the criticism and then making the move to get Porzingis and then also Drew Holiday, I'm really impressed with the patience that Brad Stevens has displayed.
No question. I mean, I know he won Executive of the Year, so it's not like he's underrated in some way. But this was a team that has been to the Eastern Conference Finals 5 of the last 7 years and was coming off an NBA Finals appearance less than a year ago. And last summer, they got together, the front office, the heads, with the owners of the team, and they said, we cannot keep this status quo, and freed up Brad Stevens to go and make the moves that he did, to add Kristaps Porzingis, moving on from a team, the heart and soul of the team in Marcus Smart, which I think, to me, that's the only thing that's sad about this run is that Marcus couldn't be a part of it. But and then also, of course, adding Drew Holiday, but the move that he made at the deadline and adding Xavier Tillman to this group to add some depth to that front court. Now we saw that come to fruition in Game 3 last night. X got his first call off the bench in these finals and was prepared for the moment and came through, hit a big three, and really allowed this team to be able to sustain success even without Kristaps Porzingis.
Abby Chin here with us. Naturally, people are always going to try to divide and break up a duo with Tatum and Brown. It was very fitting that both combined last night for 61 total points. How do you kind of sense their relationship? Because, I understand people say, oh, this person's jealous. And there's I thought it was a lot of stupid stuff after they won the Eastern Conference Finals and some of the commentary that they had about those two.
Oh, yeah, that was completely ridiculous that Jason didn't smile big enough when Jaylen Brown was named the Eastern Conference Finals. You saw his reaction on the floor. There were cameras everywhere. He was thrilled for his teammate. And they are in a great place. Are they best friends off the floor? No. Do they need to be? No, they are. They have a mutual respect. They challenge each other on the floor in practice. They've made each other better, iron sharpening iron, and they have found a way to coexist in this Celtics ecosystem and franchise that, has won more games than any other team in the league this year in the regular season with 64. All they're doing is winning right now. They've lost 2 games in this postseason, and their net rating is off the charts. So there is absolutely no beef, nothing going on between Jason and Jaylen, and there hasn't been all season.
We played some audio from Jason Tatum earlier as Abby Chin is here with the Celtics sideline reporter, and he kind of poked fun at the Celtics not really getting credit throughout most of the season. I get why they didn't, because it was championship or bust for this team. How much of that was kind of motivating behind the scenes, that this team has been great all year, but nationally and even locally they weren't going to really get their respect until they hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy, which now they're 1 win away from doing so?
I don't think that was a motivating factor for this group. This group understood that the mission was to get to banner number 18. And the reality is, when you play for a Celtics franchise, anything less than a championship is a failure. And so, yes, while that was around this group, I think the thing that has stood out to me about this team in this season is that they have not been affected by that outside noise. In the past, you couldn't say that. And this team, and it's the leadership, I think it's the addition of Drew Holiday and just a calming professional presence inside that locker room. Kristaps Porzingis also adds just an element of fun. He's been so joyful playing this season. And then you also have the steady veteran in Al Horford. They just have not, they hear the noise, they understand it's going on, but they also understand why those conversations are happening, and they don't allow it to affect them inside that locker room.
What's the latest on Porzingis with his health for Game 4?
So he just got out of practice, and he was on the floor. It didn't look like he was wearing some large overbearing brace on that injured ankle, but he was kind of just, and he was moving. He was doing some shooting around the basket and doing some pivots in and around the elbow. And he was walking, we just saw him walking back to the hotel with no noticeable limp. So I think it remains day to day. I'm not sure that with that injury that you really need to risk it. The Celtics proved that they can still beat the Mavs without him. And so I think it will 100% depend on how he feels tomorrow. And as Joe Mazzulla made very clear before Game 3, it is not a decision that is in his hands. It is in the medical staff's hands on whether he'll be able to go for Game 4.
I'm so confused with the injury, and I don't play doctor on this show, but it seemed so serious when people say it's a rare injury, and then hearing day to day, I wonder if there's any gamesmanship that's going on there. Do you have any understanding of the exact injury after it initially broke and then where we are now?
Yeah, talking to team personnel. So it is, what is torn is the sheath that wraps around the tendon in the ankle. So the tendon itself is fine and intact. And so that's something that you can brace once the swelling goes down. And I think the swelling was an issue to begin with. And I'm not sure how much that has gone down. And then it's also something that the reason it's rare is because it's basically a sprained ankle, right? And so if you're, Joe Smith walking down the street, you get a sprained ankle, you're not going to go get an MRI that looks into detail of the sheaths covering your tendons. You have an ankle sprain. And so it is rare in the fact that it has not been diagnosed in NBA players, I think, right? They've only found one other case, so there's not very much literature and study on it. But it's also something that, while Joe Mazzulla sat at the podium and said it is serious, it is something that I think, depending on the circumstance, can be braced and dealt with.
By the way, I don't know how much of this is just social media, and then how much is it like maybe it being falsely portrayed on social media. Did the Mavs skip out on practice today? I was seeing something on that in their open availability, Abby Chin.
Not that I saw. The way it works is the teams get 2 hours on the floor. The last half hour, the media can watch, and then they do their media availabilities. So they set some press conferences up on the floor, and they set another one up in the back big podium, and that's where the coach and Luka and Kyrie spoke. So from what we saw and were able to see, it didn't seem like anything was out of the ordinary.
Gotcha. Let me ask you about the Mavs. Luka Doncic, what did you make of him last night? It seemed like he was more focused on complaining to the officials than getting back on defense.
It didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary to me for Luka, right? I mean,
You're not wrong.
That's what he does. And I think he clearly did not believe that those refs were going to foul him out of that game, and which is why he was so aggressive in getting that sixth one. But he put his team in a terrible position, and I will tell you, I was watching from the bomb because we get to do a walk-off on the floor, and I was pretty concerned when they had cut it to a one-possession game, but then Luka fouled out, and I said, oh, this thing's done. Yeah. I got to focus on who we're going to talk to.
The Mavs, to me, their approach in this series has been bizarre. Like, I know the Kyrie storyline is always going to be big. I know he played well last night, but in Boston, there was that old back and forth with the fans where he was trying to basically make it seem like it was no big deal, but his actions didn't reflect that. Jason Kidd with all the mind games that he was trying to play, and then Luka worrying more about the officials. It just seems like the Celtics are a mentally tougher team here, Abby.
No question about it. I think that that's been proven through these 3 games, and I think that that is going to be the biggest test for the Celtics going into Game 4, is if they can focus on this without looking ahead, because you can't deny the numbers that no team in the NBA in a 7-game series that's gone up 3-0 has ever lost. So I think that Game 4 has been the challenge. The team themselves have maintained a very even keel, and will be the first ones to tell you that the job is not done yet. And that is all anyone would say last night. No one is celebrating. No one is getting excited yet. And so I think that it's clear the Celtics are the more mentally tough team, and it is the most mentally tough team that I have covered in my time with the Celtics, and this is my 13th season.
Abby Chin here with us for a few more moments of the Zach Gelb Show. Does a great job at NBC Sports Boston as a sideline reporter. I thought there was a lot of unfair criticism with Joe Mazzulla last year. How do you think he has grown from last year to this year as a basketball coach?
He's grown immensely, and he'll be the first to tell you that. And he will also be the first to tell you that he believes we as humans and him as a coach should be continuing to grow. He was thrust into an impossible situation last year. I was going through the timeline with someone recently. He got the job on Wednesday. Training camp started the following Monday. So there is no way to go from the back of a bench assistant coach to a head coach and be the best coach in the NBA. But he still led his team to the Eastern Conference Finals, and he took all of those experiences and this summer was able to really set a culture with this team and with this group, and they did it together in a conversation, and it has just been really cool to see him and what he's been able to do this season. Derek White could not be sing any more praises about Joe Mazzulla, and just he's been so good at keeping the group together, keeping them focused on the mission, and then also challenging them and making sure that they are prepared for these moments. He talked throughout the regular season about how he liked those times when the Celtics let the lead slip and they had to figure out how to respond, and everyone's like, really, you do? And he's like, yeah, that was fun. I don't know if anyone can explain it better. Derek White was like, yeah, he's a sicko. He's just super competitive, super driven, and willing to do whatever it takes to get his team to win. And so it's been really cool to see.
What do you think we'll see from the Mavs in Game 4?
I don't know. Listening to Kyrie today, I don't have much hope for them. He sounded just kind of done with the whole thing. So, I mean, it's the ultimate definition of a must-win game. And so if they can come out desperate, if Luka can come out and put up 50 and Kyrie can add his 30, they've got a chance. But I still like the Celtics.
She's Abby Chin. She does a great job, Celtics Island reporter for NBC Sports Boston. Abby, enjoy the sushi and also the barbecue, all right?
Thank you.
There you go, Abby Chin joining us. Great perspective on the Boston Celtics as the NBA Finals is 3-0 in favor of Boston. And it's fitting that what she said at the end about the Mavericks, it seems like they're kind of done with this series. That's just the way it feels because the series is over. There's no way, absolutely no way, that the Dallas Mavericks are coming on back to win this series. And even last night, you saw in the third quarter, Boston display that killer instinct. You thought the game was out of reach, and then boom, in the fourth, they go on that 20-2 run. Okay, we're going to have a big game here. We're going to have a good game. It's going to be a good finish. And then Boston found a way to snatch it right back to take that commanding 3-0 series lead. All righty, we'll take a timeout. We'll get to a Zach Gelb Show PSA on the other side. Update time first. Here is the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Oh, it's been 10 years since Rory McIlroy last won a major and 13 since his lone U.S. Open victory. Right now, though, off to a good start today, 3 under through 15. That leaves him 2 shots off the lead, which is held by Patrick Cantlay, who turned in an opening round 65 today. Ludwig Aberg is 1 shot back. Also a 3 under par with McIlroy is Bryson DeChambeau, who's 3 under through 13. Scotty Scheffler 1 over through 15 so far today. Baseball action, the Yankees failed to complete the sweep in Kansas City. The Royals scored twice in the ninth to beat New York 4-3. The Cardinals topped the Pirates by the same 4-3 margin. It was the Tigers over the Nationals 7-2, and the Braves avoid a sweep in Baltimore, winning the series finale 6-3 as Reynaldo Lopez wins 6 scoreless innings and allowed just 2 hits. Hockey tonight, Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals in Edmonton, which trails Florida 2-0, and the San Jose Sharks have promoted assistant Ryan Warsofsky to become their new head coach. I'm Rich Ackerman.
It's Bar Winkler. We're talking NBA and NHL all this week on the Infinity Sports Network. Tune in on Sirius XM channel 158.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God. We're back
All right,
again.
Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We'll get to a Zach Gelb Show PSA in a second. 855-212-4227. Though first, let's go to Larry in Baltimore next up on the show. Larry, what's happening?
Larry in Baltimore. Zach, how we doing, guys?
Larry, I'm doing fantastic. How are you jabroni?
I don't know why I come up as Larry in Baltimore, but we're going to be Larry in Baltimore tonight, Zach.
I thought this was the same guy that sounded like John in Arkansas.
Bro, John in Arkansas, Larry from Baltimore, twins.
Well, I think you have something to say to some of the people behind the glass, right?
Well, I'm a little disappointed that Stu's not there. Look, the reason why I'm calling, I didn't think it was going to be a sweep. I hope it's not a sweep because, Zach, I have tickets for Monday night's Game 5. I'm going back red-eye tonight, going to the Red Sox-Yankees tomorrow, and I want to go to Game 5 and watch them winning on the parquet, dude. But
wait, I got a text from you. Do you remember this late-night text that you sent me last night?
Which one?
It said, "You're more than welcome to attend Game 5 with me. I got a ticket for you."
Oh, yeah, sure. Just I'll send you my Venmo offline.
Sounds good.
Buddy, okay, I guess I don't pay attention to basketball so much because I've been watching this series. Man, Luka is terrible with the complaining. I thought LeBron was bad. He's awful this whole series.
It's what he does the whole year. Every call he doesn't get, he doesn't play a lick of defense. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a top 5 player in the league. But all he does is bitch. All he does is bitch the officials. And when you're at this stage, you got to give something on the defensive end. Like, he doesn't play any defense. He still got 6 fouls out of the game last night.
Don't care about him. Let's talk about Jalen.
Well, Larry in Baltimore, I love you, but your cell phone sucks. So we'll talk about Jaylen Brown, though. Jaylen Brown is sensational. He is making every hater shut up now, and he's going to win the Finals MVP. So Larry in Baltimore, a.k.a. Sully, a.k.a. John in Arkansas, a.k.a. our dear friend that takes us to Piero's and gives us a lot of veal parm. We love you. Your cell phone, though, sucked. Terrible. But your Celtics are good, and you're going to win a championship. Your Bruins, not so much. I love Sully. All right, let's get to a Zach Gelb Show PSA.
It's a Thursday. What do you have to say? It's the weekly Zach Gelb Show PSA.
Who's with me? Let's go! Come on! Hey!
So last night I was all over watching the Tom Brady Patriot Hall of Fame presentation and induction ceremony. And it got me thinking when they were introducing Belichick and Brady. They're like, oh, here's the greatest coach of all time. Here's the greatest quarterback of all time. You know, Brady, it's not even a debate. Belichick, he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. You could easily argue he is the greatest coach of all time. But for Brady, it's not up for debate. But my PSA is this. We use the word and the term GOAT way too freely now in society. For Brady and Belichick deserve. But you get into the league and you have a little respect. You have a little, impression on the league now, and you have a little success. And people are like, oh, he's the GOAT. You know, it was Brandon Miller who was like, oh, my GOAT is Paul George going back to the draft this time last year. So all I'm saying is only call someone the GOAT if they actually deserve it. That's my PSA on this Thursday. Carlos, what do you got for us, CK?
All right, I don't know who needs to hear this, but stop teaching AI how to make music. I don't need to hear any more fake songs about bandages and butts and any other crap that you want to throw at it, and you're trying to sell songs to your wife. Stop it. We got enough bad music already made by humanity. We don't need the robots to start making bad songs. So stop making AI do dumb things.
Did you say butts?
Yeah, just doing random stuff.
I like big butts, and I can't not lie.
Was created by a human, all right? By a human. Let us make bad music. We don't need the robots to do it.
You're working with Maggie and Perloff tomorrow, right?
I will be there tomorrow morning.
Well, hopefully they don't do any AI songs then tomorrow, because that'd be a little bit
almost
awkward
guarantee
for you.
they will.
Yeah. That puts you in a little bit of a weird situation. Samster, send us home. What's the PSA today, my friend?
You know, this is all thanks to Danny Hurley. In every interview that we've heard from him today, from Colin Cowherd to Dan Le Batard to his interviews with the reporters there at UConn, he has been nothing but forthright and honest. Now, we don't know exactly how honest, but he's giving you real answers.
As honest as a coach could be.
He's giving you real answers. He's messing with his players. He's talking about how money matters and that actually, like, the right number would have actually helped convince him. He's talking about all these different things that you don't hear coaches talk about. It's such a breath of fresh air. Here's my PSA. I'm sick and tired of coaches giving you coach speak. I'm sick and tired of all the nonsense, right? Because you see right through it. We call them out when they're doing it, and then when they leave, all we can say is, we told you so. This guy was lying the whole time. There's nothing worse than hearing a coach blow smoke up your ass and then do the exact thing that you're saying that he's going to do, that he denied that he's ever going to do. I hate that crap. If there's a true report about you and you come out and deny it, but you do the exact same damn thing that the report says anyway, then own up to it afterwards and say, you know what, I was lying to you guys, but I had to at least preserve things at the time. If you're going to lie about it, own up to it, but try not to lie about it. Be like Dan Hurley. Be honest. Be real. Give honest, good answers. Dan Hurley is now my favorite coach in college basketball.
Yeah. You were fired up. So you want everyone to be like Micah Parsons.
No, Micah Parsons is just an idiot sometimes.
Whoa. He says some stupid things. Let's not call him an idiot.
No, some of his sports takes are idiotic. He's not an idiot. His sports takes, him saying the NFC East is the best division in football is an idiotic sports take.
Carlos, didn't we do a show today where this Samter fellow was basically comparing Sam Darnold to Drew Brees?
Right? Yeah, that was a real thing. You can check it back on the free Odyssey app.
It's something with those M's. Michael, Micah. And then you get them talking football. INS Sportsnet, final poll calculation. Brady had Payton, who will end up being Patrick Mahomes' biggest rival. Joe Burrow, 43.7%. Josh Allen, 39.4%. Lamar Jackson, 16.9%. Big thanks to Abby Chin. Big thanks to Moist Mike, Carlos Ortiz, CK, each and every one of you. We'll be back mañana for a big Friday show at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We out. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.